You were dancing to like Shoop.
No, not the Shoop. Yeah, Mariah Carey. Shoop.
Yeah, Mariah Carey. Yes.
Yeah.
You were obsessed with Mariah Carey.
Always be my baby. That's
so Mariah
a great
Carey
song.
was you, and then I was Belle Biv DeVoe. Do me.
Yeah, you love that song. Wow.
I
Never seen anybody react quite
Don't
that
you
way.
like this? Isn't that a good one?
This is Byron Lazine and Nicole White, and you are tuned into episode 98 of The Real Word.
Word is up. You know what I realized, and
Yeah.
I should have been conscientious of it just then. Whenever you're talking, I always give the same face. I've noticed all the thumbnails. I'm always like,
Wow.
like zombie-like. So I should
Well,
start.
maybe you should have Jill pick a different thumbnail.
I should just start smiling when you're doing our intro.
Yeah.
So it's like
Just
I'm,
smile the
I'm
whole time.
shiny and
While I do this
and
show, you can
bright.
sit there and smile.
How are you today?
I'm doing really good. How are
Good.
you?
I'm great.
Yeah?
Thank you.
We've got a lot to talk about. There was a pretty big vote with NAR. We're going to get into that right off the bat with Racket number 1. We're getting into, there was a 5-part series on Inman talking about the end of the open house from 1919 to 2019. That'll be Racket number 2. And this week we do have a couple marketeers. We're looking for you to tell us which one was better. So let's go right into Racket number 1. NAR board overwhelmingly approves the pocket listing policy. Now, you know, it's interesting. This is 729 to 70 votes. So, yeah, it was overwhelming. But what's interesting is it just reminds you that there's 800 member board.
I feel like
why?
They must pay. They must pay to be a board member. Like, that's the only reason to have that many members. They're like, you know what? We are short on some cash. Let's allow more board members, and they have to pay or something to be a board member.
Every time I
It's
hear
the
that number, I'm
only-
like, what is going on? But let's get into what we're really talking about here. They've approved this
Ooh, but
pocket
it
listing
looks like
policy.
somebody then didn't vote.
Yeah, one person just
They
said, you
didn't
know
show
what,
up.
I'm not going to vote.
They're like, you know what?
$7.99.
I'm going to go dance on a party bus for my retreat.
So they voted to approve the clear cooperation policy. Sounds like our government or something with these names, which will require listing brokers to submit a listing to the multiple listing service within 1 business day of marketing the property to the public. So this will, as a result, will effectively end the growing practice of publicizing listings for days or weeks without making it universally available to other agents.
Right. So this is where, like, I feel like I'm having a hard time deciphering, like, what that all means. Because in my mind, they're just looking for the paperwork, right? Which...
Looking for the paperwork,
but
or
it's
like
saying that they want it on MLS because it's very different from giving the paperwork and then putting it on MLS.
I mean, we're going to link up the Inman
It's
article.
super
There's a whole bunch of
confusing
other
for
stuff
me.
that you can. If you go into the Inman comments, that's when you're going to really get confused.
Everyone's all over the place.
Everybody is all over the place.
What if the seller doesn't want to be on MLS? I'm certain they could still sign a form that prevents
there is
that.
a pretty good infogram link that breaks down a lot of this stuff. I'm going to read to you what in just a second here what Connecticut is doing. I do believe our MLS, Smart MLS, kind of has this thing figured out already. I do think the 5 bullet point rules make a lot of sense.
Right.
But I'll tell you what this is all about. Do you really want to know what this is all about? What
Well,
this NAR board vote is all about?
I think you want to tell them even if they don't want to know.
It's all about NAR versus Compass. The NAR board, the brokers, the whoever, doesn't want to see Compass doing what they've been doing over the last however many months, however many, couple of years, whatever it's been, where they're putting listings on their website for 2 weeks before they put it on the MLS, right? That's what this whole entire 729 to 70 vote is. It's NAR versus Compass, okay? So that is what it is. I'm actually interested to see, and it says it in the end of this article somewhere. What they say here is, here it is. It may be restraining a business practice that is perfectly legal, and it may also serve to drive members away from the MLS. Will that happen? Will a big name like Compass or another big name out there actually get out of the National Association of Realtors one day?
I don't know the answer to that one. I just feel like I'm
Like
still so
one of the
confused
big,
by
like
all
5
of
or
it.
6 names.
Because they could still have the paperwork and they could still stay on their website,
Yeah, so
right?
let me tell you what
I
we
mean,
do here
that's
in Connecticut in CT. We don't get a lot of things right, but I think this one could be
not many
right.
things.
The first is a traditional listing, which must be ready to act as a normal listing within 48 hours. Now, you might say 48 hours. We disagree with that, obviously, because we do 5 pillars when we put up a listing: professional photos, aerials, video, professional ad copy, and floor plans on every single one of our listings. You can't get all 5 done within 48 hours, right?
Right.
So what we do is number 2. We do a delayed listing on all of our listings. So you sign the listing contract, you talk to the seller, the owner,
Right.
About what the 48-hour window means and about all the marketing that they agreed to, and that, hey, we're just going to do a delayed listing. We're not going to be showing it. We're not going to be, marketing it. We're just going to be collecting our marketing. So that's a delayed listing form. Number 3 is a coming soon. These listings are submitted into the MLS within 48 hours of the signed agreement, and they have to go active at a certain date, which cannot exceed 14 days total as a coming soon. You cannot show
it.
the property during those 14 days.
Yep.
So you still can create this coming soon excitement.
Yep.
Right? It's still open
Well,
to
which
all
is
the
perfect too,
agents.
because if especially if your client is still sort of like primping and all, but you know that in 2 weeks you're like really close to like say like Thanksgiving or something, it's sort of like the perfect thing to do.
You can also market a listing, number 4 here, as withhold. They're submitted to the MLS, but they're not displayed to any other agents or distributed to third-party portals at the direction of the seller, who must sign the form. And then number 5, these listings may be publicly marketed at the direction of the listing agent and seller. However, they cannot be made as active in the MLS until at least 30 days following the listing execution. This link, somebody put this together, this infogram. I should give them credit. MRED, Midwest Real Estate Data. There's a whole bunch of stuff in it. I don't know how many pages it is. It's quite extensive. I'll also link this up.
Yeah, that's super helpful.
Yeah. So to me, all this does is stop you from being able to do like the real definition of a pocket listing, which is just share it with a few
The people you know. Yeah. But traditionally, but again, we don't do pocket listings really here. So I can't really speak to it, but I feel like though if you are a seller, you are aware that your listing is a pocket listing, right? I mean,
yeah,
I'm certain there's tons of sellers who are like, hey, like I'd be willing to sell. Here's the I'll give you a contract. I just like I'm not like actively trying to sell, or I would sell for the right price, or I mean,
there have been times when sellers want the pocket listing, and here's where it really gets where I think people are getting aggravated with this rule. Some people is that you can now no longer take a listing and just put it on your website. Hey, I don't want to rack up days on market, but you've got a lot of reach on your website, Mr. Broker. Why don't you just put it on your website? We'll let it sit there for a couple of years. We'll see. I know I'm $500,000 overpriced, but we'll see if somebody comes along.
Yeah.
And I'm not racking up days on Zillow. I'm not racking up days on the MLS. That's what they're stopping here.
But again, it's all at the direction of the client. I mean, I cannot imagine. And I'd like to maybe...
If you're a NAR member, they're stopping that. But remember, if you're an agent that decides to get out of NAR...
Yeah.
Because you have client base that wants, or you want to do everything pocket, right? Then you...
Well, right. And again, that's client-driven, though. I mean, because if the client wants to be on MLS, they're going to go to someone that has access to MLS. If they don't want to be on MLS, then they're going to, go after that too. So regardless, I feel like there was a lot of words. I feel like, again, they were talking about handing in paperwork, but then talking about getting it on MLS.
If you're going to be in NAR, you got to follow the rules, right? Like if you were going to play in the NFL, Nicole.
Yeah,
what
maybe.
Could you do?
I don't know. I think I might rip someone's helmet off and hit him over the head.
Hit him over the head.
You know, I mean, let's
that
go.
Was insane.
I mean, that was ridiculous. But anyway,
but if you're going to play in the NFL, there's rules, right? Like a couple of years ago, everybody got heated about Colin Kaepernick taking a knee.
Ooh, he's back.
He might be back, yeah. With him taking a knee, right? Everybody went crazy, or some people went crazy, I should say. Well, at that time, there wasn't really a rule, so he kind of got a bad deal. There wasn't a rule that you couldn't kneel. Now there is a rule in the NFL. If you don't want to stand for the national anthem, you stand in the tunnel. This is an agreement that the owners in the NFL made. So if you want to play in the NFL, you either get out there and you stand for the anthem,
right,
or you sit in the tunnel in the locker room. You have two choices.
Right.
If you want to be a member of NAR, right?
Mm-hmm.
And listen, I've been critical of NAR multiple times if you're following this show. But if you want to be a member of NAR and they make a rule, you got to follow the rules or you get out. It's just really that simple.
Or maybe you could become the 801st board member.
Could I be the 801? That would be interesting. You know what else I'm going to link up here? So I'm going to link up the Inman article. I'm going to link up the MRED data infogram.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to link up a video with some of the best agents in our country. Tom Toole and Scott Compa. They interviewed the Bright MLS chairman, John Coyle. It was a 30-minute interview, and so this chairman of the Bright MLS, John...
I feel like I should have watched that before we dove into this podcast.
He kind of explains it the way I believe the Connecticut MLS has it, from my understanding, and it makes a lot of sense to me, and they are actually 10% of all MLSs in the country, so they've got a little bit of weight there, the largest MLS combination. And so, 3 places to go and find information. I will tell you right now, the comment sections, while we should be having this conversation, are getting a little bit confusing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what do I think do I think this is a racket or not? It's their rule. But I think it's really about Compass. So that could be a racket. All right, racket number 2. Are open houses over? Is it dead? Like, they're talking about 1919 to 2019.
100
years, and now it
houses
could be dead. Do you believe that?
Do I believe open houses are dead?
Yeah.
Currently?
Yeah.
In 2019?
Yeah, in
No.
2020.
No, I do not think open houses are dead. Although, again, so this was a 5-part series on Inman. Each one sort of went through like a different part. What are they again?
Yeah, we'll link up the 5th part, and you can go back right at the top and look at them all.
I actually, did you print out all of them? Because my favorite...
No, I didn't print out all of them.
Oh, because my favorite one was part 4. They were pretty much calling...
I'll bring up part 4
real estate agents, hookers, standing on the side of the road waiting to be hired.
Yeah, part 4 said that
we were dirty.
Open houses are dirty because we're like just soliciting.
Click it. You're not clicking it. You're just hovering.
It's not
No,
it's not coming up. Anyways, in the future, an open house without the house, that's what caught my attention, part 5. Technology is turning open houses into data generators and eliminating the need to visit property in the first place. Meanwhile, agents are staging bigger and bigger events.
I think you need to stage a bigger and bigger event for sure if you're going to be
Nicole's
doing an open
the best at
house.
that.
I mean, you definitely have to do that if you want some people to come in for it to be like worth your time. But we do have to obviously come to terms with the fact that open houses were started in 1919 and life is very different now. So I don't think you necessarily have to go to an open house to preview a house, but I mean, what sells a house though? People coming into a home. So if having an open house is going to get more people into the house, then I don't think it's dead. I think that it's still a very effective way to get bodies in the house. If they're not even buyers, at least some feedback so you can get to your seller to figure out where they need to sort of work on or...
So I just did yeah, you do. I can hear the tickle from here. Yep. So I just did a podcast last week with Liz Novello, Gary V's sister. She's a real estate agent in New Jersey. I was driving down with Sam to New Jersey, and so I'm just listening to some of her recent content on the way down, right? And I follow her on Instagram. You guys should too. You guys should actually go listen to the Byron and Nicole podcast with her.
I knew this was coming today. I mean, any opportunity to drop it.
Anyways, one of her recent Instagram videos, she talks about sellers, restricting the schedule of when buyers can see homes, right? Tuesdays don't work for me.
Yeah.
Oh, Wednesday afternoon, my dog's there, I can dog out, blah, blah, blah.
Oh my gosh, do you really want to sell?
And so she did a video about, especially in the first 3 to 4 weeks, make sure your house is accessible at all times, not midnight, but all normal times for a buyer. It's super important.
Yep.
I believe open houses, especially with the way things are going, iBuyer, the access to homes, I believe that open houses are actually in the future, believe it or not, going to get longer. To your point, are going to be a bigger experience. There's going to be more things involved. There's probably going to be collaboration with local businesses more often than there is now.
Right.
And I think it's going to go both ways. I think you're going to have more people coming through the technology open house, whatever that looks like. And I think you're also going to see a growing number of people access homes physically, because I don't believe in the next 10, even probably 20 years, but definitely, I mean, I will go on record for the next 10 years. I do not believe you're going to see an uptick in the next 10 years of people buying properties sight unseen. The tech isn't that good yet.
No. Well, buying a home is a feeling, though. You don't get a feeling from a photo or feeling from a 3D.
You may someday have like this AR experience, virtual experience, whatever the stuff. I don't even know what I'm talking about when I start talking about that stuff. But you may have a world in the future where you can literally experience the home without being there. But I'll tell you what, the tech isn't there right now, and it's not going to be there over the next 10 years the way it's trending.
And there's so many buyers, though, too, that, I mean, you hear it all the time, like they want to go to the listing agent. So what a perfect opportunity to potentially meet the listing agent at an open house, though, too. And it's super easy for you to get sort of in and out without having to contact them to set up a showing. I don't know. I don't see them going away. I do understand some of the arguments in here. Obviously, I think part 2 was about safety. I mean, you do have to be a little smart about it all, but
yep. There's and we're talking about that with Open Door and Airbnb the last couple of episodes.
Right.
I think safety, when you're getting more access to inventory, because some of this inventory is going to be empty. Yeah, you got to be worried about safety and cameras and all this kind of stuff. And I think as real estate agents in general, especially if you're a female out there, you've got to be worried about safety.
Yeah.
On showings, never mind open houses, right?
And it's actually pretty interesting, too, because the very first where this open house thing started was a gentleman that it was a condo complex, I believe, and he was giving away a Cadillac. And it's interesting because I just hosted a Parade of Homes wrap-up party, and I would say probably 5 out of the 10, no, actually, it was probably 6. It was a majority of the builders were actually talking about the fact that, it's time for them to bring even that back, to give these bonuses to these buyers. They need to give some sort of initiative, to get them to pull the trigger, want to live there. So again, it's interesting. I mean, even though it's 100 years, some things haven't changed.
I think this is a total racket. I believe tech and branding and all this stuff that we're using is going to drive, and certainly iBuyer is going to drive more open house, longer open houses. I think
longer for sure, because they're just going to want to come at their leisure.
Yeah, I think if this gets reposted in 15 years, it might not be a racket, but today this is a total racket.
Total racket.
All right. We have some Marketeers. So
we do. You guys get to vote.
Yeah, we asked you guys for some Marketeers, and we had a couple people. Our buddy Cameron, he recommended Chisi Yan. That's 100% right. Chisi Yan.
100% right.
Yeah, Chisi Yan. And he also, and then John Strauss recommended this Old Town Realtor rap. So it's a parody off of a Lil Nas X. Is that how I say that, Suave? Lil Nas X? Do you like Lil Nas X? No, we don't like Lil Nas X. We like the real Nas.
Yes.
Right? Nostradamus.
So how are we doing this? Are we playing both of them right now, or
we are not going to play both of them? They're in the links. The Chi
By the
TV.
way, I just have to let you guys all know, Byron had no idea who Keira Knightley was.
Keira Knightley.
So when he watched one of these, he thought that she was a team member. He didn't understand it. We should have recorded that.
Which one do you think's the winner? This is a clip out of basically a parody of this movie.
Yes.
With the actor that you just mentioned.
So it's from Love Actually. They did a scene out of that Christmas movie Love Actually.
And then the Ray Fernandez team did a parody off of this Old Town Road.
So I don't think that I want to give. How about we go next week? We'll tell which one we like next week after they've already voted, and we'll say if we agree or disagree with their vote. Yeah. So you guys may become a racket if you pick the wrong one.
Let us know in the comments what you thought of these 2 videos. Are you doing anything like this? Is anybody in your market doing anything like this? Put it in the comments if you see something out there super creative. Of course, we'd love to know how you feel about the NAR vote. And also, do you think open houses are dead? Is there going to be no open houses in 2020 all of a sudden?
I doubt it.
All right, guys, keep it real. Thank you.
See ya.